we are definitely way cooler than we are by ourselves. All right. And so that's what we're going to focus on here today. So, Janice, let's let it roll. All right. Yeah. So, real quick, for those of you that don't know me, my name is John Smith, for real. I am the Senior Teacher Success Manager here at Book Creator, which basically means lots of webinars, lots of school visits, keynotes, conferences, anything that I can do to make sure that teachers best utilize their licenses. That's really what I'm here for. But Janice, thanks for having me. Who are you and what do you
Yeah.
do?
So my name's Janice. I'm your Canva learning consultant. So some of you may have taken classes with me before. I've been with your school district for, gosh, probably about a year now. So super excited to be back and sharing all the Canva love and the Canva book creator absolutely amazing app smash today. So we're excited to kind of share how these tools can be used together to create some really amazing student projects.
All
I
right.
think
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we're going to dive into Canva to start. I think we're going to go Canva, dive into some book creator, and then really talk about that app smash and how they can be used together, and some ways to kind of utilize those. So I just added our regular What is Canva slides for those who maybe haven't taken a Canva session with me at all yet. Just a really quick overview. Canva is a visual communications platform. So anything that you want to create or communicate visually, you can do that in Canva. And so it's really amazing all of the things that you and your students can do. And Canva's mission is really to empower everyone to create, collaborate, and communicate in the classroom and beyond. So turning our teachers into creators and really turning our students into creators in a really easy to use platform. So we're super excited to share that today. And I think with that, we're going to dive right in. So if you want to log into your Canva and follow along, I would highly recommend. And I believe you're just the login with Google button, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what yes, we've done this enough times now. I think we're logging with Google. So if you are able to get in, make sure if you want to log in and follow along, that would be great. And I am just going to kind of dig through a few things as you're thinking about book creator, digital storytelling, all of those things that you would do in your classroom, which is also a little bit close to my heart. I was an ELA teacher for 15 years. So this is right up in my wheelhouse. And so just talking through a few of the templates, a few of the tools within our design editor that would really allow you and your students to create some wonderful digital stories. So I'm giving you a second to get right in, if you're able to log into Canva and follow along. But when you log into Canva on Canva's homepage, you have a number of ways that you can access different templates. So I'm going to show you just a couple great template search terms today as you're thinking through that digital storytelling. One of them is just story. You can type in the word story on Canva's homepage right here in this search bar, and you will find a whole bunch of different types of designs. So you're going to get lots of different things here. That is one way to get started and kind of give yourself some ideas. It may not always be exactly what you're looking for, but if you want to get more specific, I recommend two different search terms when you're thinking about creating storybooks, and that is storybook. We have lots of great storybook templates. So if you type in storybook in that template search, you're going to see all of these wonderful storybook templates. And what's great about these, especially if you have younger learners, is a lot of these have resource pages built in. So instead of students digging through our elements library, which is really fun, but with 100 million elements, it gets very overwhelming sometimes. A lot of these will have kind of pages of characters that students can copy and paste and just put into their stories. It has places for text boxes. So it gives them kind of a scaffold and a structure to get started. So Storybook is a wonderful place to start. The other option you have is book cover. That's also a really great place to start. So Storybook or book cover, all of these will give you some really great options to pull into Book Creator. So book cover, instead of, storybook is going to be multiple pages. Book cover is just going to be one. So it's going to be just the cover of that book. That gives you an idea of what the book might be about. There's lots of great different themes if you're looking for underwater or forest or playground or whatever it might be, Magic Kingdom. Lots of fun ones here. So lots of great different storybook covers that you can use. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this one. So I just picked this first one, The Secrets of the Magic Forest. And I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks when you're in Canva that can help you and your students create as well. So I'm going to grab just this first template here, choose customize, and hop in. So again, storybook, book cover, digital storytelling, story, all of those are great options when it comes to kind of creating within Canva. So when you have a template open, or you can start from scratch. I will mention that too. Under Storybook or under book cover, if you want to start from scratch and build in Canva, there are blank templates. If you have kids that are just ready to dive in, they can start from scratch here, or they can use pieces of these as well. All right, so one piece that I think often gets missed in Canva, even for those Canva super users, that I think, especially when it comes to storytelling, is so helpful for teachers and for students, is under elements over here on the left. So when you open a design in Canva, you have this whole panel over here. Elements is kind of where we live when we're creating in Canva. It's where all our graphics and characters and setting and everything is going to come from. So you'll notice here, I'm going to zoom in on this one because I know it's probably kind of small. This one kind of has maybe like a watercolor theme, kind of, they all look a little bit painted, right? That's kind of the theme of these. So if I wanted to add something, maybe it's missing an animal that maybe have a deer, we have a little bear, some birds. Maybe I want there to be, I don't know, maybe let's try let's try watercolor hedgehog. Maybe I want a hedgehog in there. So I can add to this. So under elements, when you search, you can use those kind of characteristics or styles in your search terms. So I'm going to go over here to graphics. I'm going to skim through these. I think this one kind of looks like what these ones, he's so cute. We'll put him in here and we will add him to our story. So we'll add our little hedgehog here and drop him in. So now he's kind of matching if we want to add more characters, or maybe I don't want the bear in there, or I don't want the deer. I can take the deer out, put the hedgehog in, and there we go. So it's really easy. Again, using those really descriptive search terms, it's a great way to teach description as well, to teach kids how to find these things. And then the other trick that I love, and especially if kids are starting from scratch and maybe they do like the blank page, or they're kind of starting with just a basic scene and not all the other things, is if they find something they're looking for. So I picked this little hedgehog here. When you search for something in Canva, if you hover over an element, there are 3 dots that show up. They kind of get buried because it's dark on dark, but there are these kind of 3 dots right here. When I click on those 3 dots, it's going to open up a whole menu. So within that menu, you have some options. You can star or like favorite those elements. So if you wanted to create a folder of elements for students to use, maybe to help keep that search down a little bit, you could do that. You can star them. You can add them to a folder first and share that folder so students can access it. But you also have these, and one of them says, see more like this. If you want to see things that are similar, you can choose see more like this. And then oftentimes we also have this option here that says view collection. That's only if there is a collection available, but it is in a fair amount of our graphics. You'll also see like search terms to find it. So if you wanted to use these same keywords, you can. I'm going to go ahead and choose view collection. So this one's only hedgehogs, but it shows me all these different maybe I want a whole family of hedgehogs that look the same. I could grab all of these. So it kind of gives me some options for see more like this or view collection. Sometimes it will be other animals in the same style or other elements in the same style. So as you're creating those distinct characters throughout your story, this is a great option to be able to find more like it or that collection. My other quick tip, which most people don't realize, is notice that I can add the hedgehog because I searched him, but I didn't add any of these other elements that were already here. So maybe I really like this bear, but I want to do the same thing. I want to see if there's any more like it or any more in the collection. You can do the same thing by clicking on an element on the page, and across the top, you have this little information, the little I button. It'll give you that same menu. So it'll either say see more like this. This one doesn't have a whole collection, but I can choose see more. This one's giving me more bears. I can do the same thing with the birds. Nope, that one doesn't have a collection either. But you could go through and kind of see, maybe they have a collection. Maybe you want to see more little squirrels. Here's more watercolor animals that are similar to the little squirrel here. Maybe you want to add a raccoon too. Put him in here. So those are just great tips that often get missed. I think some of those buttons get overlooked when it comes to kind of finding things that are similar. So the little information or hovering over those elements here. And then also just being really descriptive in your searches. So those are great tips when it comes to creating and adding to your story. The other really great tip that lives under elements. If you guys haven't seen this, this might not be new for you, but I always like to point it out because it has moved and now it lives over here under elements. And that is our AI image generator. So there's so much you can do with the AI image generator, even if it just gives you a baseline, maybe it gives you a background. I actually just use this for my conference proposal sessions that I was doing because I wanted something a little bit different than what I was finding. So you can come in here to elements and students can generate any image they can think of and Canva will generate for them. So under AI image generator, I can choose generate my own. And then I can type it in. Maybe I want a magical forest, forest with fairies and hedgehogs. I don't know. Maybe we're on a hedgehog kick today. It's fine. I'm not very creative on the spot, but maybe I just really want something that I'm not finding. It's really hard to build it with a bunch of elements. Maybe I just really want to find, I just want a picture of that. I can go ahead and choose generate image. It's going to think about it and it's going to give me 4 options that I can then choose from to create and add to my story. So here is a magical forest with hedgehogs. I don't know. This one maybe has some fairies and fairy hedgehogs. I think they're hedgehog fairies. So there you go. It also gave me that option. So there's lots of different options here. Again, really teaching students to be descriptive and specific in their wording will also help kind of narrow this down. One thing that I didn't do, which I'll show you, because I didn't think about it, is I'm going to go back and start over. So elements, generate my own image. If you scroll down, there are a lot of different styles. So dreamy can be really mystical. Maybe they want it to look like watercolor or hand drawn. You can choose a lot of different styles. We have all of these in here. Playful's very cartoon-like. There's lots of different ones, but then you can also choose the size. So I should have picked, my book is tall and skinny. So I should have picked portrait versus square. So we'll try that one more time. Maybe we'll pick a different style too. Maybe we'll go dreamy in portrait with forests and hedgehogs and we'll see what we come up with. So thinking about the size, if you do square books, you can do that regular square shaped graphic. If you do tall, skinny or landscape, you can also adjust the size of those text to images. So that dreamy gives it kind of that mystical look. I really do like that filter for these. I think they're kind of fun. So I'm not sure how accurate we got, but here is, we'll make it really big. We'll fill the space. There is a mystical forest with some hedgehogs. So again, changing that filter, changing that size. You could do it with just the background. If they just want like a mystical forest, they want to describe it, you can add those characters in there, things like that. So that's really fun and gives students the ability to kind of really get whatever's in their head and get it out on paper. I see this used a lot with science fiction writing and some of those other ones where they're kind of being really kind of out there with their thoughts and stories. So that's a great opportunity as well. Are there SEO tricks to the AI image generator, like search engine? Good question. I will say, oops, not generate again. Just the more specific you can get, the more you describe it, the more it's going to give you exactly what you're looking for. So you can even use things with like depth of field and foreground and really descriptive words. For the most part, sometimes it gives you not quite what you're looking for, but usually, especially if you're giving it really kind of descriptive, specific things, it will generate what you ask it. So it's kind of just really about using all of those words. Yes, absolutely great and it's great for storytelling, getting those kids to, as they're describing in their writing, they can describe those images as well. So that's also a great way to kind of show, is it really descriptive? What if you put it in here? Are you really getting what you think you're describing? Maybe there's better ways to say that. So that's what I would definitely say with the kind of way to describe it. And it does also translate pretty literally. So like another example that's kind of fun that I was just working with history teachers is Abe Lincoln. You guys know what Funko dolls are? They're like kind of the big head, or like bobblehead. I've seen both used. So if you're writing historical figure stories or something like that, I'm going to go back to not the image. You can write in things like this and it will generate things that are pretty accurate as far as kind of thinking through what that looks like. I don't know how to explain this very well. I'm not doing a very good job. But I think you get the point. Is like, here you go. Here is that kind of Abe Lincoln Funko style doll. So if you kind of give it that really good description of whatever it might be, bobblehead, Funko, anime, however the style that you want it to be, it will come kind of pop that in there. So it kind of gives you that same style. So
I
that's
like
kind
how it even made it with him in the box,
Yeah.
which is cool too.
Yeah. Though the words come out a little funny. I feel like the box is not quite as like he's a little crazy in there. But yes, now you have an Abe Lincoln in a box. And you could say like in a box, like the more you get descriptive, the more you're going to get back in what you're looking for. So oh, this one's in a box too. Let's see his. He's got a little bit some other words in there. How did I get to Magic Media? Perfect. It's under elements over here on the left. So I'm in a design. So not on the home page. I clicked into a design and then using the menu on the left, there is an elements tab here. And then if you scroll down a little ways, you should see this AI image generator and this option to generate your own. Yeah, that's a fun one too. The other thing I'll say is every time you add a text to image to your design, so maybe you're not ready to use it yet, but you like it and you want to hold on to it, as soon as you add it onto the page, it also saves to your uploads. So that's kind of a nice tool too. If you're like, man, I don't know if I want to use it, but I kind of like this picture, but I want it to regenerate and I don't want to lose it, just add it on the, you'll notice all of those Abe Lincolns are on here, all of my little ones. I generated this one yesterday for, it's like treasure box with jewels and things like that. So my uploads always look silly because I do this all the time. Here's elephants skiing in the mountains in snowsuits. And so you can, as soon as you add it to a page, it will save it to your uploads. Here's some otters eating a popsicle. Like it comes up pretty realistic for some of them too. So they're kind of fun. So I think text to image is also a great option when it comes to adding things for books. I'm going to cover two more and then I'll turn it over to John as well. So you have some elements. Again, we have photos, you have all kinds of things in here that you can use if you want more photorealistic backgrounds, if students want those things, plus all of our graphics in here. The one thing to keep in mind is if you're putting it into Book Creator, the animated graphics won't be animated when they cross over. So they might get excited about animated graphics, but it doesn't quite translate quite the same. They can add in text. You have all kinds of text effects. Uploads, you can bring in your own images, video, or audio. So if students want to put themselves in their book, they can bring in their own picture. I guess not video or audio, but they can bring in their own photo for this. They can use our background remover to take the background out, things like that, and put themselves into their story. So you can do that under the uploads button here. You can hand draw. So we do have a draw tool. You can hand draw or hand write things if students want to be a little more creative and artistic in that sense. And then on the left, you also have this little apps waffle. And there's a million apps. And Canva adds apps every single day. But there's two that I want to highlight that I think are really beneficial when it comes to creating books and digital storytelling. The first one is Translate. So as you're talking about your ESL students and your MLL learners, Translate can be a really great opportunity for students to create a book in English and then maybe translate that back into their native language so their families at home can read and understand it and maybe in their native language. If students are really struggling writing, they can write it in their native language and they can actually translate back to English. So there is a little bit of ways to go kind of both ways there to help them with that written portion. So under apps on the left, you have a translate option. You pick translate, you choose the language. You can choose a page, or you could even have text boxes on the same page. This one's not going to do it, but I could have like a text box here and then the same text box, and I can just translate one of the two text boxes. So the whole page doesn't have to be translated. You have that choice if you kind of want this side by side. You can do that as well. You can translate all the pages. The default is to duplicate the page, but you can turn that on or off. And then I also really recommend this one. If the language that you're translating into is longer or like has more characters than what is original, you can check the box to reduce the font size. So it will keep it kind of in that same parameter instead of expanding. So that's really nice, but you can pick your language, you hit translate, takes about 3 seconds and it will translate those pages. So Translate is a wonderful tool to involve families, to include those language learners, to help scaffold whatever that might look like. And then the other one I want to highlight is this little face right here. And this is our character builder. Under character builder, this is where you can kind of create these little avatars. This is a great way to create consistent characters throughout our story. I was trying to get to a blank page. Throughout our story. So if you pick hairstyle, and we keep adding to these, so I can pick hairstyle, I can pick facial expressions. There's not a ton, but there's enough. be really excited to be learning today. And then body is outfit in action. So we can, be really excited or whatever it might be. And they keep adding to these as well. And then what I love is you can pick skin tone and hair color. So students can create avatars that represent themselves. I also work with fifth graders writing science fiction that create purple people with green hair. So you can really create whatever you want in here. But what's nice is I can come back, choose the same hairstyle, change the facial expression or change the action or that kind of outfit piece and have that consistent character throughout a story. So I just hit done and then it becomes just a graphic. I can move it around. I can rotate it. I can kind of add it wherever I want. So character builder is fantastic. Translate is fantastic. Those are probably under apps, the two most popular and useful when it comes to that digital storytelling. All right. Kind of that's a big overview Canva in a nutshell.
All right. Thank you, Janice. Yeah. So now we're going to talk a little bit about Book Creator and what you can do within Book Creator. So for those of you that haven't used Book Creator before, I want to give you a couple of places that you can go to kind of get a refresher on what it does, or if you've never used it, a complete kind of overview of what Book Creator offers. Now, we also have a Getting Started webinar this week, I believe. So if you are totally new to Book Creator and you need that Getting Started session, I believe it's Thursday. So we have a time for that. So just want to make sure that you are aware of that so you can show up if you need it. But when you do sign in to Book Creator, you automatically get that full upgrade, all right, within your district. And once you've jumped through the hoops and you answer all the questions, at the 3 lines here at the top left, it kind of takes you to your teacher dashboard. Now, what's really nice about this is you get 1,000 books, you get unlimited libraries. This is a really awesome way for you to be able to create libraries for every class. You create a library for specific subjects. You can create a library for every student if you wanted to, and then use Book Creator like a digital portfolio. We also have a Discover section, which is fantastic because it's got tons of amazing examples in here of things that you can do with Book Creator across the subject areas, across grade levels. But we also have some really awesome student templates here, which are really fun. Our literacy section, we recently hired a new literacy person and she's been pumping out books left and right. So we've got some amazing content here that you can use with your students. But if you're new to Book Creator, I definitely encourage you to take out a look at our certification section. All right. And so right here, when you scroll past my really bad haircut, over here on the left-hand side, you're going to see 18 videos that will walk you through everything that Book Creator has to offer. Watch the videos, pass the quiz, and you become a Book Creator certified author. You get a cool badge, get a certificate of completion, but more importantly, you get that deep understanding of what Book Creator can actually do. All right, now, while we're here, I want to show you a few of my favorite features within Book Creator, and then we're going to get into the really cool stuff, which is how we take really cool Canva and really cool Book Creator and make really amazing stuff. All right, so some of my favorite features. I'm actually going to stay right here because one of the features that we're going to have to utilize later is this one and this button here that says apps. So similar to Canva, we don't have a waffle box, but we do have our app box here. And in the app section, there are 9 additional apps that you can add into your Book Creator experience if you want. All right. And one of them just happens to be Canva. So I'm going to click on these. Now, this is important to note because all of these apps are disabled by default. All right. So if you want them into your books, you have to click on the app itself and then you have to actually turn it on. So I'm going to turn off Canva here for a second and I'm going to turn it on in a minute. But before you turn it on, I always recommend clicking the button that says see privacy details. All right. To be honest, I know most of you do not want to read the privacy details because it's like 40 pages long. Don't worry, we created a little cheat sheet. All right. And so here's Canva's privacy information. And so something that's very nice to see, right? So I can see there's no age limit. Once it's been added to the book design, you can always go back and add it again, and you can reload it from within Book Creator. There are some things that you need to be aware of, right? So nobody under 13, only with parent consent and things like that. And because your district uses Canva, no worries there. But this is important to kind of note. And then all you have to do is click Enable App. And if you just stop there and hit done, then you can use Canva within Book Creator, but your students cannot. All right, it's just you. But if you do want your students to use it, you can simply click on the libraries that your students are in. So maybe you have some groups that you want to use it with and some that you don't. You can choose which ones, or you can hit select all and click done. And now it is turned on for all of your students to use as well. All right, so that's one of my favorite features. Now, a couple of others that I want to show. So Book Creator is very easy. All right, there are no complicated menus here at all. You just click the plus button and that's it, right? Everything is right here for you to use. And one of the ones that I really want to talk about first, I'm going to piggyback off of what Janice was talking about when she was talking about languages. All right, so we do not have a translate feature. So there's a good opportunity, right, to do kind of both, where you can app smash. But one of the things that I really want to think about in terms of languages is, yeah, translation is good, right? I like it. But guess what? With our camera tool, when you record video, you can actually record video and do something special. My name is John Smith, and I hope everybody is having a great time. I click stop and use that video. Now, the video that I just made is going to be in English. All right, I spoke it in English. The video is going to be there in English. But when I click the video and click the inspector, all right, we have an I button too. All right, when we click the inspector, after the video loads, it may take a second or two to get there, there will be an option here for captions. All right, now it does not translate the captions. So if I have an English video, I'm going to have English captions. But when we're talking about getting students, ESL students, foreign language students to learn, then translation is great. Speaking in one language is great, but if we can have multiple languages, it's even better, right? And so I like how in Canva, if you translate it, it keeps two copies, right? It keeps the original and it keeps the translation. That's fantastic. Well, in Book Creator, when I have my video here, I can click add captions and I can generate those captions automatically. So if my video is in English, I get English captions. If my video is in Spanish, I get Spanish captions. Or my favorite, I'm going to enter the captions manually. All right. And so I have an English video and I'm going to add my captions in Spanish. And now I have English video, Spanish subtitles, and now my videos look like Netflix. All right. And so now my kids are excited, parents are excited, and we're using multiple languages all in the same space. All right. So I really like that. When you combine translation of text with video and captions and all those things, I think this is really going to make a very powerful experience. All right. And again, I think video is very powerful to begin with. So whether you're using the Canva designs and Book Creator and your app smashing, you can always add videos on top of whatever it is that you make. All right. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. Another thing that Janice had mentioned is that sometimes if you create in Canva and it has these cool little animations, they don't always translate over into Book Creator, right? Which sounds kind of like major bummer, right? You're like, oh, you know what? I had this really beautiful Canva design and now I've got this Book Creator page and I really want that dancing hedgehog to dance on the forest tree stump. And he's not dancing, right? So like, what can we do? Well, one of our other apps and one of my absolute favorites is Giphy. All right. And so when I click on Giphy, if it's age appropriate, I might put in dancing hedgehog. All right. Now, Janice, I'll be honest, I've never typed in dancing hedgehog. So hopefully something pops up. Well, guess what? We've got dancing hedgehogs. All right. So here's what's awesome. All right. We've got dancing Sonic here. I'm going to click Sonic and put him in. Now, this is a power user tip kind of trick right here. So I've got this wonderful dancing hedgehog, but if I have Janice's, mystical fairy forest background, and I put this Giphy on top of that, it's gonna look ridiculous, right? So we've got like this road that comes out of nowhere on top of the forest. Doesn't make any sense. So instead of clicking whoops, I hit the wrong button. Instead of clicking Giphy and saying dancing hedgehog, and going with the GIFs, I'm going to click dancing hedgehog and I'm going to click on stickers. And now when I click on the stickers, all right, I can click on one and there is no background. And so now I can add that wonderful, mystical fairy background, that forest background that Janice had created, and add a dancing Sonic the Hedgehog right on top of this tree stump if I wanted to. All right, so really cool stuff. But I love Giphies as a quick way to add some animations into your books. Now, another one that we talked about just right away is that sometimes, drawings, right? Being able to put your own drawings in there. Yes, Book Creator has our own drawings. Now, we don't have a cool AI generated auto, image thing, which is super cool, but we do have auto pen. All right. And so for your students who think that they cannot draw, well, they can start trying to draw something like a bike. And then at the top of the screen, the auto draw is trying to figure out what it is. I probably should have done a hedgehog just to see if I could get one to pop up. But as I'm drawing here at the top, it's trying to figure out, is it a basketball? Is it a cherry? Is it a pair of glasses? Ooh, no, it's a bike. And I see some really cool, motorbikes here that look way cooler than something that I could draw on my own. All right. So what I like about this is that it gives kids that sense of ownership, right? Like, yes, I can go find an image. Yes, I can go find an icon somewhere in some place, right? But if I start to draw a bike and it says, hey, yeah, I know what you're trying to do. It's a bike, right? Is it this one or this one? Kind of gives the kids that sense of ownership where they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted right there. And now they kind of feel like a little more empowered, right, to get that drawing in there that maybe they didn't have. All right, so I absolutely love this. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we talk about like all the really cool stuff, right, like how we can work together then, is one of my absolute favorites. And it sounds silly, but when we're talking about stories and we're writing and making books, you're going to want to put some words in there, right, at some point. All right. And so we have the text box. And I know it's silly, but when you click on the text box, this text box pops up. You can type in there, you can copy and paste in there, but I love the microphone. All right. And that microphone is my absolute favorite. For those of you that have heard me talk about this before, my classroom, we called the microphone writing with your face. I think it's a really cool idea. And what I love most about our microphone is that it truly understands everything that I say. Click on the microphone and choose the language you want to speak in. Start speaking in that language. And that's it. So if I had speech to text and I chose Spanish from the dropdown, I start speaking in Spanish. Spanish text shows up and it understands me, right? Siri thinks I have a mouthful of marshmallows. Book Creator gets it. It's fantastic. All right. So I absolutely love the speech to text. And when you click the plus button, or sorry, hit done, there's your text. And now you can click the inspector and you can change the sizes, the colors, the fonts, anything you want to change about your text right there. All right. So I absolutely love our speech to text. I love all of our features and how easy they are for your students. So you're going to find that your students, I don't care what age they are going to absolutely love this. And then when we can add things together, it gets even better. All right. And so I'm going to start with here. All right. We're going to talk about how you can get into Canva from Book Creator. All right. So again, you're going to want to make sure that you go to your App Store section here in Book Creator and you're going to turn on Canva. And once you turn it on and you're inside of a book, you're going to go to the plus button and you're going to go to More. And when you click on More, because you turned on Canva, there is the Canva app that appears. I'm going to click on Canva. It's going to know I've already logged into Canva. It's going to pull up my Canva account. All right. And there it is. So now I've got access to all of the really cool Canva stuff and I can build right here. I found that this is, especially important as the students get older. All right. Because a lot of older students will look at Book Creator and they'll be like, this is easy. And you're like, it is. Yep. Yep. Like, that's not a bad thing. But then they want something that looks a little more sophisticated, right? They like Book Creator's features, but they want to add maybe some more sophisticated designs to it. And that's where I love bringing in Canva. All right. And so I click on Canva. I've got all of these really cool templates over here on the left. All right. And I'm going to click on one of the templates. And then I can choose, again, another style. And it adds it right here, just like you saw when Janice was doing this earlier. And I can change colors and fonts and text. And I can do anything that I want to adjust right here. Once I'm done, Then I click add to book, and it's going to simply take that Canva design and it's going to add it right there into my book creator book. All right. So now this happens to be on page 2. All right. So it takes a second. Once it's there, and it's really awesome. But then what I love about this is that, again, now I've made this really cool design. I can go back to book creator stuff and I can add things right on top. All right. And one of my favorites has to be the record button. So maybe it's because I taught special ed, but if I had a page like this and I was giving it to my special ed kids, I could guarantee you I was going to read each one of those bullet points at least 15 times. All right. Because they needed me to read it over and over again. And that's fine. But guess what? When I click record and start recording, it's going to add that recording right on the page. So awards and recognitions. We have been recognized as one of the best travel agencies in the Asia Pacific region since 2000. Click stop, use recording, and there it is. So now I can add that right on top of my beautiful Canva design, and my students can click on that button and they can listen to me reading those directions over and over and over and over again. All right, so I really love this. But I have to tell you something else. All right, so this I think was fascinating. And then I want to have Janice kind of give any other tips and tricks that she might have for getting stuff from Canva into Book Creator. Because for me, the only place I go is from Book Creator into Canva, right? And I've gotten those questions from time to time. Like, if I've already created something Canva years ago, how do I get that into Book Creator? So we're going to talk about that in a second. But I want to show you something that confused me at first, but I found to be genius later on. All right. And so here it is. When I was on this page 2 of my book, and I went into Canva, this is what popped up, right? A bunch of different templates. Now, every time I saw this demonstrated, it was book covers. And I was like, why am I not seeing any book covers? All I'm seeing are these really random templates. Now I can search and I might be able to find a book cover. And I was like, I was so confused. All right. And then somebody explained it to me, or I figured it out myself. Here it is. Because I was on page 2, Canva is assuming that I don't need a book cover because I'm on the second page. But if I go back to the cover page where it says cover here in Book Creator, and I go into Canva now, guess what pops up? Book covers. All right. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. Right. And so now I've got all these really fun book cover templates. So I might pick one. It adds it here. I can make my adjustments and then click add to the book. And then it's going to take that Canva design book cover and put it on the cover of my book. So I was like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. Right. Like, now I get it. But then it's even cooler because as kids get older, books tend to change shape, right? Like, I don't know if you know that, like elementary kids, books are wider, right? As you get older, they get skinnier and taller and usually thicker. All right. And so check this out. When I click on a portrait book, which is longer, maybe for older students, and I click on the plus button and I go to Canva, the book covers change. And now the book covers are even more sophisticated looking. All right. So if you have middle school or high school students who are looking for books that are a little more, sophisticated looking, maybe not the Fairy Hedgehog Forest, but maybe the Forest of Secrets, then guess what? There we go. Right. And you click add to book. And now, based on your book style, you get different covers and different sophistication levels. So I thought that was really, really cool. The other thing that I think is really fascinating is if you ever want to go back and change it, all you have to do is double click on the book cover. It takes you right back into Canva. And then I can click on elements and I can add all kinds of, like a can of Coke inside there. Cola. Coke is probably trademarked, right? So it's just cola, but we'll put that there. So it's the secret forest, with Coke can laying down there in the corner, right? Or whatever you want to do. So you can always mess around with it. So I absolutely love this. Janice, what other tips and tricks do you have? And I'll let you share your screen, or if you just want if you want to walk me through some of that, then I can kind of drive the ship here if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, sure. I was just going to share 2 other ways that you can get from Canva to your book. So one way that seems most obvious is you can download the image out of Canva as an image file and then upload that into, so if you started in Canva, instead of going to the Canva button, if you just kind of design in Canva, you can, yeah, click on any of them and then download as images. And
Oh, that's
then
a
you
video.
can, it will still, and all of those will work. But if you download a file, share, and then download as an image file, so PNG preferably, you don't have anything on there, so it's going to tell you can't do it, but,
Oh,
or if you're in a video file too, that's okay. But it will download to your desktop and then, or to your files, and then you can bring that in to Book Creator. So download and then upload. But the other way you can do it is actually if you're back in Book Creator. So if you want to go back to your Book Creator, if you X out of that, well, no, you can stay in that. I'm sorry, that was my fault. Go to the Canva button. On the left-hand side, so instead of going right there to design, if you go down that menu, there's a projects tab, that little folder. So if you had created pages or a book already, that projects tab is all of your design. So it's going to have everything you've already created. So if you created a cover or pages, it would show up in there and you could grab the pages directly from Canva and drop them right into your book in Book Creator. So that, or any images that you might have, things like that, but any design that you've already created, if you have a whole, you built in Canva, like how I started writing Canva with a book's cover or storybook template, you can use that projects tab that most people overlook, find your design, and then bring the pages over that way.
awesome. That was always one that I missed, and I think I think it used to be buried under like some of the dots or the apps, and now it's like front and center. So that's good to see. All right, Janice, any other top tips or tricks or anything that you want to share? And if
There's
not,
a
we'll
really good question in the chat though. It says, if you add text to a cover in Canva and then add it to Book Creator, can you edit it in Book Creator, or do you need to go back to Canva? When you click on it, it's going to bring you back to Canva to make those edits, unless you
yeah,
add text directly from the Book Creator text box app
yeah.
on top of the Canva design. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. Yeah. And so I guess there's a couple of things. So I'm sure, and I have not looked, to be honest, through all of Canva's fonts that they have available. But let's say, for example, that maybe there was a font that, did not exist, right? Or I like the background here, but I don't like, the title Forest of Secrets, right? My kids have something else. So I can just delete, right? Whatever I want, and then click save. And so then it's going to save that design right back into Book Creator. Now I can click the plus button and I can add text in any style that I want. All right. So if I said Forest of Secrets and I wanted to use a different font, fine. I click on Forest of Secrets. I go to the inspector. I change the size. I change the font. Maybe I want to use something like Open Dyslexic. All right. So if I've got some dyslexic students and I want to make this easier for them, then I'm going to choose Forest of Secrets and I'm going to make it in the Open Dyslexic font. All right. And then you can do, left, center, right, justify, all that good stuff. Now, in this case, now you can change the text whenever you want. But if not, if you use the Canva text, then yes, you do have to go back into Canva, because essentially what happens is when you design in Canva and bring it into Book Creator, we're bringing it in as an image. So you cannot edit anything on that image specifically until you go back to Canva. But yeah, great question. Oh yeah, you gotta go through Book Creator first, yeah, to get to Canva. Can I show my video that speaks in Spanish? So yeah, so unfortunately, let me explain this. I do not speak Spanish well at all. So I am not going to attempt to speak something in Spanish. But what I want to show you is that when you choose the camera, all right, and you record, the camera is only going to record in whatever language you want to record it in, right? So if I record the video in English, then it's in English. If I record a video in Spanish, then it's in Spanish. What I was showing was that once the video is there, all right, once the video is in there in whatever language you want, then I can click on the inspector and add captions in English if I wanted to, or I can add captions manually by adding them in Spanish. So if I enter the captions manually, I click add and say whatever it is I say in the video in English, I type it in Spanish, and now I have those captions. So it doesn't translate it. It doesn't, it won't change anything. It'll just add them in if I want to manually add them in. All right. What other question? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if we got that one. Are books from Book Creator printable through any book printing company, obviously without the animations and the speech? So this is a good question. All right. And I'm actually going to throw this somewhat to Janice. So I'm going to answer this question in two different ways. All right. So I'm going to answer it in my way, and then I'm going to let Janice answer it because I want to see how she answers this question. All right. So you already got part of my response, right? I'm a big fan of the digital submissions, right? So if I want to share that book with a parent, I'm going to click the share button and I'm going to publish that book. All right. And then I'm going to give the link to the moms, dads, aunts, uncles, Twitter, wherever I want, so that people can see it. Why? The videos are there, the audio is there, all of the interactive stuff is there. But I do not want to downplay the fact that some parents and some kids and some teachers like to touch stuff, right? They like the physical books. So when you click the share button, one of the options is to print the book. Now, what it does when you click print is it downloads your book as a PDF, and then you have to kind of manipulate it somewhere else, and then you can print it out on your own printer. I have had a couple of teachers who have taken those PDFs and manipulated them and then sent them elsewhere to be printed. Now, Janice, this is where I'm going to put you on the spot, all right? Because I don't have the answer to this question. But in Canva, when you were showing us Canva, and maybe you can show this to us again, you feel free to hack my screen or jump back into Canva, or I can jump on it here too, it's fine. But in Canva, I did see somewhere, I think it was maybe on the home screen, an option for print products. Does this allow you to take like a PDF of Book Creator and then print it out?
So we have booklets in Canva, but I think, and don't quote me on this, but I know in the beginning, originally, the only booklets that we printed were like, you could only print the cover. It was like blank journals and things like that, where you could design the cover.
Gotcha.
Honestly, think that has since changed. I think very recently there may be an option now to print something that has what you can customize the pages. I don't know if it would look exactly like a storybook as kind of like what the vision might be in that sense.
Gotcha.
I think it would be, I feel like I saw it's under like the journals and the planners and diary kind of. So under that stationery section, if you go down a little bit farther, there's like, if you go to the right under stationery, there is
Okay.
like there's like journal planner, they're kind of spiral bound. You'd have to test it out and play. I haven't dug in too far to know if the pages are fillable or only the front page, to be honest. But that would
Gotcha.
be, if it would do it, that would be the way that it would do it.
Okay. That's cool. But you know what you could do too? You could just take that amazing book cover of the student book that your student made and turn it into a coffee mug, right? Or a
Yeah.
tumbler. Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
So, I mean, lots of really cool ideas here for parents or teachers for Christmas and things like that, right? And holidays. Love this. So anyway, Teacher Appreciation Day, send them a pint glass with a book cover on it. You know, how cool would that be? So anyway, other questions. Okay, so yeah, I was wishing there was a way to send it to Snapfish or something somehow. So again, I don't have much experience with Snapfish, but I will say that I have had there was one teacher librarian in Canada. She used a website called Picto, I think is what it was. And she was able to take a PDF of the book, send it to Picto, and have it print out as a 10-page book. And her kids absolutely love that. So it is something that is possible. You just got to find the right website that allows you to do what you want to do. And if it's Canva and it has some pages that look like you could add additional pages to that notebook, so I think you can probably do it. But just got to play around with it a little bit and see what happens there. Absolutely. Thanks for having us, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.